Hello, and thank you for clicking on this video. Before the video starts, I need you to do two things to help this channel grow. One is subscribe down below, and the second is like this video and share it with anybody that you want to spread MMA news to, whether it's family, friends, anybody. I always appreciate your support. And now let's get to the video. Hello, everybody. My name is Tyler Russo, and this is the KO Podcast, episode number 49. In this episode, I will be reviewing UFC Fight Night, Ribas vs. Namajunas, and this weekend we have a UFC card on ESPN, Blanchfield vs. Farrat. It is in Atlantic City in front of a live audience. It should be electric. Ring that bell. Alright, let's get to this Ribas vs. Namajunas card. And early on in this fight card, we had something insane happen. I never thought that I would really see something to this severity, but unfortunately it happened, and it made this card a little bit more interesting since it is in the Apex. But Igor Severano is disqualified for biting his opponent, Andre Lima. I mean, Igor Severano, he must have bit pretty damn hard because he had a mouthpiece in, and you could see a very distinct bite mark on Lima's arm. So right after Chris Taioni saw Lima's arm, he showed him the bite mark. He brought over the Nevada State Athletic Commission director, and he made it known what had happened. And he called the fight off, which was the right decision because the severity of the bite, I mean, like, come on, I know you're aggravated or whatever in that position, but this was a close fight, so I'm not really sure what even prompted him to want to bite Lima on the arm, but obviously his actions have consequences. He was cut from the UFC just a little bit after his fight happened. He's only 20 years old, Igor Severano, so I don't know if he's gonna be able to ever get back to the UFC. I am a big proponent of second chances, but it was pretty severe, the foul that he caused. But Lima, he made out of the situation pretty well. This is from Tapology.com. This is the fight summary. After winning via disqualification from Severino's arm bite, Andre Lima was awarded $25,000 I got bit bonus from Dana White. Lima proceeded to get a tattoo commemorating the situation, prompting an excited Dana White to double the bonus to $50K. So hey, he made the best out of the situation that he was forced into. So Andre Lima ended up making a pretty good night out of getting bit. All right, now moving on from the bite of the night, we had one of the better fights of the night. We had a featherweight bout. We had Jarno Aarons getting the decision victory in a war of a fight. We also had Miles Johns picking up a decision victory. We had a featherweight bout. We had Ricardo Ramos taking on Julian Erosa, and this was going to be a banger of a fight. There was going to be tons of action in it, and there was a bunch of action in this for as long as it lasted. Julian Erosa gets the first round submission on Ramos, and we had Trey Ogden getting the decision victory. Now, let's move on to the main card. Kicking off the main card, we had a featherweight bout. We had Fernando Padilla getting the first round submission. He looked really good in this fight. Very impressive performance. Moving on, we had a featherweight bout. We had Billy Cortillo taking on Yusuf Zalal, and Zalal gets the second round submission. We had a bantamweight bout. We had Peyton Talbot taking on Cameron Simon, and Peyton Talbot really just blitzed right through Simon. Simon is a tough guy, but Peyton Talbot, everything he threw at Simon hurt him, and that knee to Simon's head or sternum or whatever he connected that knee with, it sounded like he hit Simon with a baseball bat. So Peyton Talbot, this is a dude to watch out for in the bantamweight division. He's got a very unique style, so definitely go check out some of his past fights. Moving on to the middleweight division, we had Edmund Shabaznian taking on AJ Dobson, and Edmund Shabaznian, he survives getting her in this fight from Dobson. Shabaznian was wobbled, but he was able to fight through being hurt and actually was able to KO AJ Dobson on the ground via ground and pound. I believe he knocked him out with a hammer fist or a forearm. So Edmund Shabazzian, he's got a lot of heart. He always comes in there and he's not afraid to swing with his opponent. Sometimes that does get him in really, really bad situations, but he does put on a show every time he's in that cage. Moving on, we had a heavyweight co-main event. It was a grind him out heavyweight type of fight, and Carl Williams gets the decision victory over Justin Tafa. And now we move on to our main event of this card. It was a women's flyweight bout. We had Amanda Ribas taking on Rose Namajunas. This is Rose Namajunas' second fight in the flyweight division. Her first fight, she lost to Moreau Farrat, who fights this weekend, which is a really interesting storyline moving forward, but Rose Namajunas gets the 5-round decision victory. I believe I had her winning at least 4 rounds. Ribas definitely was able to win one of those rounds, but Rose Namajunas won comfortably on the scorecards. So now she is going to get a top 10 ranking, so maybe one more fight, then a flyweight title shot for Namajunas. All right, let's get on to this weekend's action. We have UFC on ESPN, Blanchfield versus Farrat. Let's get to the prelims. We got a middleweight bout. We got Andre Petrosky taking on Jacob Malkoun. That should be a fun middleweight fight. We have a women's flyweight bout. We got Victoria Dudikova taking on Melissa Gatto. And we have a women's strawweight bout. We got Verna Judaroba taking on Lupi Gonez. Gonez is on a multi-fight win streak, and it's been an impressive fashion. She's beat some really strong competition in that win streak, so let's see if she can get past Judaroba. And we got a featherweight bout. We got Nate Landwehr taking on Jamal Emmers. Nate Landwehr is always entertaining, so this should be a fun fight. Those are just some of the prelim fights that I wanted to highlight. Now let's get to the main card. Starting this main card off, we got a welterweight bout. We got Chidi Njokuani taking on Rice McGee. Chidi Njokuani is always an exciting fighter. Moving on, we got a featherweight bout. We got Bill Algeo taking on Kyle Nelson. And next up, we got a middleweight bout. We get Nasserine Razabaf taking on Sequias Dumas. And we have a middleweight bout. We have Chris Weidman, the former middleweight champion. He takes on Bruno Silva. I'm not sure how Chris Weidman is going to look in this fight. Hopefully, he looks better than he did in his last fight. I saw that fight when he fought in Boston in August, and, his leg was just getting beat up by Brad Tavares, and he was really limping in that fight. A lot of people were worried that, that leg was going to end up breaking or something again, but he was able to push through that fight. And, he said he's felt really good in training camp, so hopefully he can get a victory. It's always nice to see Chris Weidman win. And now, moving on to the co-main event of the evening, we have Vincent Luque taking on Jaquan Buckley. And Vincent Luque was actually supposed to be the main event of this card, but his opponent, Sean Brady, was injured during his training camp, so instead he is now the co-main event, and this is a very exciting fight. Buckley is a KO artist, and of course Luque is just so dangerous everywhere, and he's got powerful hands, so hopefully this is going to be a stand-up fight of the night. I mean, Buckley has that spectacular knockout that went viral a couple years ago. And now, moving on to the main event of this card, we have Erin Blanchfield taking on Maran Farhat in the women's flyweight division. This fight is essentially a number one contenders fight for both women. Erin Blanchfield has strung together an impressive win streak, as has Farhat. Farhat beat Rose Namajunas in her last fight, and Blanchfield still just 24 years old. She fought Talia Santos to a decision victory in her last performance. So both of these women are surging right now. Now there is a 10-year difference in age. Farhat is 34, and as I just mentioned, Blanchfield is 24. So it's going to be interesting to see if the young buck can get past the older fighter. I mean, Farhat, she's 11-1. Blanchfield is 12-1. So Farhat did start the sport a little bit older in age. So that 34 is not maybe the mileage that it says. Yeah, she started fighting in 2018, Farhat, and Blanchfield started fighting, I believe, around that time too, just at a much younger age. But I'm very excited for this fight. I mean, Blanchfield, she's been has had a lot of hype around her, and she's been able to live up to it thus far. So I'm going to take Erin Blanchfield in this fight. I'm going to say third round submission victory for Blanchfield. Hopefully this card is spectacular in front of a live audience. It's going to be great. And that is it for this episode of the KO Podcast. As always, check out the link tree in all of my social media bios. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen. Stay safe, stay blessed. Bye-bye.